All right. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. So lovely to see your faces. I know that more people will probably trickle in and will be on the replay, but it's really nice to be live with those of you that are here. Some of you I know, some of you I don't know. But welcome, welcome to this Mistress class, this Portal of Power Mistress class. And just arranging this screen view. I'm loving the incense vibe, Liv. I've just been burning some Egyptian incense for the occasion, so it's nice that you're also burning incense. We're co-creating a portal of power. Say that again. Oh, you're burning incense as well. I love it. This is the vibe. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, good. Just going to turn up my volume so I can hear you. Let's see. I'm just trying to get my view correct so that let me see. Okay, this way I'm speaking to everyone. And the techniques and logistics. It's like every time it's kind of like a miracle. It's like, we're here, it's working, we're all over the world. So if you want to write in the chat, actually, where you're tuning in from, I would love to know. I think I know where some of you are, but it's nice to get an idea of the grid. And Egypt, Mexico, cool. Places I've been, Costa Rica, Colorado, amazing. All places I've been to, actually. So that's cool. Yeah, so thank you for being live. I hope we're going to have some time for questions. There's a lot that I want to share with you guys as well. So we're going to dive in. But yeah, I'm not really going to lead us in so much of a drop-in or anything like that, because we're just going to get right into the material. So if there's anything you need in this moment to just be really comfortable in the space, whether you need water or comfort or whatever it is for you to be really present, then grab that now, get yourself what you need, or you can just tune in and start taking some deep breaths, breathing into your womb. You can put a hand on your heart, hand on your womb, just becoming really present in whatever way is best for you in this exact moment. And I'm going to say a couple of things about housekeeping. I don't know if it's housekeeping, but I am in the jungle. I'm in Puerto Viejo on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. If for any reason my internet drops, which it should not, but you never know in the jungle, I will just basically get straight back on the call. So you can just do the same basically, and I'll readmit you. So it's only if it drops. I had a call yesterday where there were a lot of drops, but usually we're good. You just never know. And other than that, there will be a replay. So if for any reason, if you're live with me and you have to jump off, you'll get the replay. You'll be able to catch up on the rest of the call in your own time. The replay is going to be available until Saturday. And then it will go offline again. So that's just for your information in case you do need to leave and you want to come back to it. I'll upload it after this call and you'll have till Saturday to watch the rest of it. So I would love to also hear, because I love to just feel you a little bit before I just dive right in with my transmission. Is there anything in particular that comes to you in terms of what drew you to this masterclass? I announced it as, what did I announce it as? Sexual energetics and erotic integrity. And erotic integrity is something that I've never actually heard anyone put these two words together. And I feel like it's a very important combination. I'd also got quite a response. There were a lot more women who signed up for this masterclass than I've had for previous masterclasses, actually. And there was really a vibe of like, this, I need this, I want this, I want the codes, I want the download, I want to know more about these topics. So I'm curious if there is anything in particular that stood out for you in terms of why you were like, okay, I want to do this masterclass. Like those subjects are important to me right now. So feel free to drop that in the chat if you want. And if you're watching on the replay, it's a good thing to just tune in with yourself because it relates to your intention for being here, right? So it relates to your intention for stepping into this portal of power, this moment, this gathering, this field. So just take a moment to really tune into what is your personal intention for being here. Aw, thanks, Marissa. Marissa says she's done erotic alchemy and she knew after EA this spring, that I would immediately do another container regardless of the topic. That's cool. Nice. Well, it's nice that you're here as well for this class. JS Wolf, Egyptian culture has deviated completely from its heritage and sexuality is suppressed and judged. To defend ourselves, we inadvertently act masculine in a toxic way and forgot our femininity. You going to Egypt made me remember what its essence is. That's so beautiful. Thank you. Batu Sole, I want to master and maximize my personal vessel and soul together in harmony. Awesome. Yes, that's what we're all about. Okay, amazing. Cool. All right. So I'm going to share a little bit about my journey with these topics, a very, very little slice. Live, engage my power, learn how to embrace all aspects of my sexuality. Perfect. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, Portal of Power is so nuanced and multi-layered, this title. I did not even realize when it came through what this was going to unfold into for me, right? It was just like, okay, Portal of Power. I need to create a course called Portal of Power. That's the name. That's the theme. And originally the reason when Portal of Power came through, I was like, that's what the yoni is, right? This is this power portal that we have as the feminine, which is our womb and our yoni, and it is a multi-dimensional portal, and it is a portal of such power that it can bring life into the world. Like, I don't know what else is more powerful really than that particular portal. So that's what it meant to me in the beginning. And then as the next 6 months unfolded, this was back on the winter solstice, the next 6 months unfolded, I got to explore the process of co-creating this portal of power, which is my new course, on so many levels and in so many ways and in so many places, Egypt included, that I had no idea it was going to unfold like that. So to give you a little bit of background about me, because some of you know me and some of you know me less, some of you just know me from socials, I have really been doing this work and on this path, this priestess path, this tantric path for many, many lifetimes. And so in this life, I started to be introduced to Tantra and Osho's teachings, for example, when I was about 20 years old, I think 19 or 20. Before that, my erotic integrity and my knowledge of sexual energetics was really experimental. I went to an all-girls school. When I was a teenager, I was very wild whenever I had the possibility of being wild. So, I went through a phase where the way that I was exploring my sexuality was by going into clubs and bars in London and realizing that I could get men to buy me drinks and that I had this power of seduction, right? That I had this power with my sexuality, with my sexual energy, and I could make things happen, right? I could seduce, I could get free drinks, all of this. So it was a very experimental stage in my teens. But I graduated pretty quickly from that. So in my 20s, I got into Tantra. I was still pretty experimental. So I was exploring more like free love and polyamory and sort of more taboo sides of sexuality. And I was still, I was in my early 20s. I was pretty naive to it all. I had a big heart and I was just like ready to give it to the world. And then in my mid 20s, I really started my initiations. So that was when I became initiated as a priestess. I had a series of experiences that took my whole reality to another level. One of them was going to Mount Shasta, which some of you may know. It's a power portal in itself. And then I started to have a much greater understanding of the energetics involved in sexuality, involved in sexual experiences. I had been diving deep with ayahuasca and different forms of shamanism throughout my 20s. So in my later 20s, I started to really come to another level of understanding in terms of energetics and what was actually happening behind the scenes of the physical. That was very connected to my own healing and my own journey of working with medicine, working with tantra, working in healing, working on such a deep soul level to reclaim my different pieces, the sort of fragments and aspects and really pieces of my power that had been caught up in different places and different timelines and different lifetimes. So I went on a huge deep dive in my late 20s. By the time I got to my early 30s, I was very discerning when it came to sexuality, when it came to sharing my sexual energy, when it came to energetics at all, the spaces that I moved in, the people that I hung out with. So I went through a really strong initiation with these themes that brought me to such a different state of consciousness over those pretty short years in that sense. So I'm going to share like a few of the really golden nuggets that they've been part of my work for the last few years. So in my late 30s, I moved to Costa Rica. I created Kundalini Rose, which is my brand. I was teaching, right? So then I'd been through a lot of initiation, a lot of power portals of my own. And I started to teach, I started to offer, I started to share what was really embodied at that point in my own experience. And for me, there has been nothing more satisfying, fulfilling, enlivening than sharing this work with women. Erotic alchemy, which some of you know, has been my main signature container for women online. And it's really my dharma. It's really my soul work. It has been just amazing to do this work, share my transmission, share my experience, and to really go into all these areas that I feel like are very underrepresented, not only in terms of regular sex education, but also in terms of the Tantra world, right? And the temple culture of today, and a lot of the tantric circles and free love circles or sex positive spaces and things like that. We have a lot of emphasis at the moment on liberating ourselves in these circles and spaces, which is beautiful, liberating ourselves from shame, liberating ourselves from guilt, from the social conditioning. All of that is amazing, and I'm so here for it. But I feel like there's another layer of the conversation which generally just gets skipped, and that's the energetics, and that's the erotic integrity, and what it really means to be in integrity when it comes to Eros and when it comes to sharing your Eros. And so that's the deeper conversation that we're going to dive into today. I've got notes, I'm not going to lie, because I've got so many points that I want to cover with you. So I'm going to be checking my notes a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so I did recently lead a pilgrimage to Egypt, and one of the big themes in Egypt was refinement, actually, for me. So it was like the refining of the conversation, the refining of the work, the refining of that expression of sexuality, because our whole culture has been going through this like, wow, like feminine empowerment movement, right? And it's like women are showing up, they are reclaiming their power. It's amazing. And every woman is doing that in a different way. And every woman is at a different stage in that journey of reclamation. Sexual liberation looks many different ways. So in a certain phase, sexual liberation for me, let's say in my 20s, was like, wow, I'm like hooking up with men in bars and clubs. I'm drinking. I'm being wild on the dance floor. I'm discovering this power that moves in me that is such an ancient power that I have a soul deep relationship with. But in this life, I'm just tapping into it, right? It's like there is that stage. Then there's the stage, which I feel like you see a lot on Instagram. I mean, there are many stages in between the ones that I'm going to highlight. But you see a lot of women like reclaiming their wild woman, right? And they're like putting their blood on their face and they're like doing lots of twerking and they are in this like, yes, I'm wild, I'm a woman, I'm free, and I'm going to express my sexuality for all the world to see. And that's also a very valid and beautiful phase. Then, and this is not necessarily linear either, right? But I feel personally in my experience, like there has been a progression from those stages of sexual expression to a more refined expression, a much more discerning expression where I am so highly aware of the value, first of all, of myself, of my energy, of my eros, because it's something that I've cultivated, that I cultivate every day. I cultivate myself through my practice. I cultivate my energy. I clean up my energy from interactions and I build my energy. This is just like a normal daily practice for me. So at this point in my life, I'm highly aware of my value and the value of that energy because I work on it every day. So it's a very different kind of situation now in terms of becoming intimate with somebody, specifically sexually intimate, but even intimate socially, and sharing my energy, right? Because I have a powerful current and I'm aware of that. Totally different situation from I'm a teenager. I don't even know what's going on. Oh, wow, this moves people. This moves me. So there is this progression, and the priestess is an archetype that probably you're all relatively tapped into if you're in this class. And if you're not, then it's an archetype that's within every single one of us. And the priestess really has the capacity to kind of oversee and in a way rule all the other archetypes. Because the priestess is this archetype that is in full devotion to her divine purpose. And so she can roll out many, we all have all the archetypes, right? So we can roll out the maiden, the mother, the crone, the wild woman, the queen, right? It's like we have all of these, the lover, we have all of them within us. But the priestess is the one that kind of keeps them all in check, because the priestess is the aspect of us that is devoted to the divine, that has given herself in service to the divine. And so all the other archetypes that we can play in and that we can play with, she can activate an action in the service of that, right? So maybe the lover is coming online, right? But the priestess is the one that keeps things in check. Because like, let's say the lover comes online and we're in a temple or we're on a date and like the lover is online and like we're women, right? We just love love. This is the thing about women. We love love. And that's our job, is to love love. Men love women. Okay. And this is sort of generic, but there's codes in this that I want you to just feel into for yourself, right? Women love love and men love women. Now, when women get lost in we love love so much that we just want to be in love, so that lover archetype comes online and maybe we're in a first date or we just met someone in a temple and we just want to lose ourselves in the love, in the passion, in that expression of eros, whatever it is. We need the priestess to check, is this in alignment? Is this in the highest good? Is this in service to the sacred? Right? We have to check that archetype through either the priestess archetype or through our masculine. right? So our masculine aspect is the aspect that's like boundaries. I don't know if this person can enter my temple right now, right? Maybe I have a boundary. Maybe I've just met you and I want to dive into the lover and this feels really good, but we're not going to have sex right now. You're not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. There's a boundary, right? So this is also a masculine element, because the feminine, the Shakti, she's pure energy. So when you're embodied enough, that energy is very easily activated, actually. Your Eros is really available. And as a woman, unless you have a lot of armor around your heart, which a lot of women do have, and that is a very valid and real thing, but we are still lovers. We are mothers. We have this desire to love unconditionally, to pour out that love from our hearts, to penetrate the world. This is our positive pole, the heart. Penetrate the world with love. So we have that desire. And this is why we often fall into, well, we fall out of erotic integrity, I would suggest, because we so want to be in love. We so want to be in the lover. We so want to give and nourish and devote that sometimes then we forget to check ourselves and we forget to bring the masculine forward and we forget to have that discernment or take the time, right? If we're engaging somebody, whether we're going on a date, whether we just met at a party, whether it's like a sexual experience, it's like we need to check in every step of the way and be able to communicate where we're at without any kind of bullshit getting in the way. Now, it's amazing how many women struggle to actually express what they want or need in sexuality. How many women override their yoni because their mind says go. So their body is like not necessarily ready. And this can happen in partnership. This can happen with a new lover, but often women will move too fast for their body because either the masculine is moving that fast or because we want that love, we want that validation, we want that connection. And so we override the body and then go into penetration too early, and this creates trauma in the yoni. This creates a huge backlash in the body and also in the relationship, because then we can feel like, oh, there's resentment now. Because now I'm annoyed with myself, I'm annoyed with him. I didn't handle it right, because we always know. The yoni always knows. So a lot of the work is to be in full attunement with her. And this is the work that we do a lot of in erotic alchemy. It's that reconnecting to the yoni and what I call yoni consciousness, the intelligence of that realm, because that intelligence is huge. It's the yoni can perceive beyond the visible. The yoni can read a field. She sucks energy in. So you got someone in front of you, somebody's engaging you, whether verbally or sexually. It's like your yoni has the ability to pull that energy in and digest it, give you a download. And sometimes that download is a feeling. Sometimes it's a very clear message. Sometimes it's just like a yes or a no, but sometimes it's a like, something is off. You know, all the boxes are getting checked in what he's saying and how he's appearing. Could be a lover, it could be like a business partnership or any kind of situation, but it's like the yoni is like something is off. It's this instinctual, primal kind of intuition. So we are usually disconnected to some extent from that intelligence because we haven't been taught how to cultivate it. So part of our work as women and to bring ourselves into our full erotic integrity is to reconnect and to clear the accumulated experiences that sit in the yoni and inhibit that intelligence, inhibit the life force, inhibit the eros, inhibit the pleasure that we actually feel. And those experiences often come from penetrations that we haven't digested, because every penetration leaves an imprint. Now, it would be a very different world if this kind of information was taught in schools. But a lot of my work over the last 3 years has been educating women with this kind of information and giving them the tools to actually be empowered with it. And one of those tools is the yoni egg. So those of you who know me know that I talk about the yoni egg a lot. It's a huge part of erotic alchemy. I teach something called yoni yoga, which is a practice with the egg. And there are many, many, many benefits to this practice, but one of the most crucial ones is that it helps, it's energetic hygiene for the yoni, for your temple. And for those of you that might not know, the word yoni actually means sacred temple, right? So it's like really, and it actually refers to the whole female reproductive system. So you becoming the priestess of your temple requires you to have boundaries. It requires you to voice your yes and your no, your desires, your whatever it is, right? It's this connection between the voice and being able to vocalize like what is happening in any given moment for you in your body without a glitch. Because we often glitch because we go through the mind. That doesn't mean you have to say everything that's happening in your body at all times, but it's like that ability to be so at one with the oracle that your body is, that at any given moment you can follow that guidance, right? This is the priestess. She knows how to be that oracle for herself before she is that oracle for anybody else. So often as women, we're like, I want erotic integrity in a man. I don't even know what that is, but like it sounds hot. You know, it's like, yes, I want integrity from the masculine. Integrity is a very masculine kind of concept in many ways. But we don't necessarily even know how to recognize that if we're not in erotic integrity with ourselves. So even if it's in self-pleasure, right? Learning to actually listen to the body and what it needs and how it wants to be touched and how it wants you to move the energy through you. This is a huge piece. And it's not just about moving eros through you, it's also about moving emotion through you. Like when you're feeling something, how do you deal with that? Do you just push it aside? Because if you do, often it ends up in your womb. And it's a sad truth that a lot of women, their womb is more like a trash can than a temple, because they're subconsciously pushing away the uncomfortable feelings, the uncomfortable processes. And guess what? They end up somewhere. We carry everything in the body. So priestessing your temple is step one. And this is really, it's crucial. It is crucial to real, true sexual empowerment. Becoming intimate with yourself, with your yoni, physically, energetically, emotionally. There are so many emotions that get stored in there. Your vagina, the canal of your vagina has many, many, many reflexology points. So there are many organs that connect to different points in your yoni, which are in turn hold different emotions. So when we practice things like de-armoring, we're actually addressing the health of the entire body. We're actually working on our whole energetic system. So this is where self-pleasure and practices that are, you know, feminine tantric practices, they're about wellness, they're about emotional stability, they're about health, they're about fertility, they're about energetics. There's so many pieces for us to keep track of. So we have to be devoted, first of all, to ourselves and our own temple. We have that desire for loving, for devotion. Like this is so feminine, but if we can't give it to ourselves first, we're always going to mislead ourselves. This is where we drop the ball. And this is where the masculine gets misled as well. Because it's up to us to hold that bar, to hold that standard, to value ourselves. We're coming out of 2000 years of patriarchy where women have been undervalued, underpaid, under respected, right? So we are the ones to restore that in the way that we see and treat and love and touch and own ourselves and our feminine power, especially our sexual power, because it is phenomenal. It brings life from out there in the cosmos. It brings souls to birth onto this earth. Like, there is nothing more miraculous. This is a power that every single one of us is holding. So it's time to get really real about that and really respectful of that and really honoring of that, because that is how we are going to lead this renaissance, this revolution. And it's how we're going to lead the masculine into their next level. The realm of energetics is a feminine realm. We lead through our energy. So it's energetic intelligence that we start to cultivate when we work on yoni consciousness, when we work on the behind the scenes of sexual interactions and intimacy and relating. Just going to take a breath and check my notes. Just letting that land for you for a second. Okay. So a really important piece that I want to mention is around this power that we have and the ways that we also abuse it. Because we are not victims of this current moment in history, on planet Earth. We have been through a lot. We've all been through a lot on an individual level, on a collective level. But the feminine has her toxic traits. And it is very important that we own those as well. Because yes, we are love and we want to devote and we have so much magic and purity about us. And we have our shadow side. There is the shadow feminine. There is toxic femininity. And this plays out in countless ways. But one of the ways that this plays out is, for example, what I was experiencing in my teenage years, manipulating that sexual energy to get what I wanted. I didn't want to buy drinks, but I wanted to get drunk. I'm 16 years old, you know? So it's like, I'm manipulating that sexual power for an agenda of my own. That's very different from a desire. So where we're shadowy with the feminine is we often don't own our desires. We aren't transparent in our desires. I don't know about you, but if I really like someone, I have a sort of default pattern where I give them less attention. I ignore them, almost. But energetically, I'm like pulling them in. I'm like, give me attention. Come and talk to me. As opposed to a more transparent approach, which, you know, in Tantra and temples, you learn more about this, you know, and you practice this, but where it's like, hi, I feel an attraction to you. I desire to get to know you more. Like, there's integrity in that because you're owning your desire and you're being completely transparent. But that takes vulnerability. That's scary because they can be like, well, that's nice, but I'm not interested. And then it's like, and then we often get that rage, the feminine rage. How dare you reject me? I am the goddess. Or we don't feel that. We feel like crushed. Either way, it's uncomfortable. So often we don't do that. We just kind of like weave behind the scenes. And we kind of energetically try and get what we want without actually owning it or communicating it. This is where we also sexually often expect or want men to be mind readers. You know, it's like, I want him to just know what I want because I don't want to have to say it. Like that will like break the moment. Or that will just be really vulnerable and uncomfortable to me to say, you know what, I would really love more of this. Or even harder, that doesn't work for me. Like you need to stop. You need to slow down. It takes vulnerability and therefore it takes courage. And if we are not able to hold ourselves in unconditional love, if we're not able to love ourselves, then we'd rather avoid that vulnerability because we can't even be vulnerable within ourselves. So when we do this work and when we do this work as women, we get to practice that vulnerability that is often a little bit easier. For some women, it's actually harder to be vulnerable with women than with men. But we get to practice in dedicated spaces of unconditional love, where love is what rules, everything is welcome, and you're contained within your process. This is how we create alchemy, right? You have a crucible. This is where they would like burn the material, right? The fire is what creates the transformation, but you need the container, you need the crucible often to be able to go into your next level of vulnerability, your next level of radical honesty with yourself. Because it's really hard to call ourselves out. But this is shadow work. Is going like, oh, I'm so sweet and lovely, and I just want love, and I just want to give, and da, da, da. But then there's that part of me that actually is just like, I actually want validation. I want to feel like I'm worth something. I want your attention. I want to get what I want. I feel like you're influential, so I want to pull you into my whatever our agenda might be. And this is all completely natural and divine. It's not something that we need to get rid of. It's something that we need to become aware of. So this is where shadow work, I also feel, is very misrepresented because a lot of people are doing shadow work to get rid of their shadow, to somehow overcome it, wipe it out, change it, manipulate it into being different. But the fact is, the shadow is the shadow. The light will cast the shadow. So we just need to own it. And when we own it and we love it, because the shadow also holds our wounds, our pain, all the stuff that's really hard to look at. But when we welcome it, then we integrate it. And then we move from a place of wholeness. We move from a place of healing. So this is a really big piece. And this is something that we go into in Portal of Power, but we go into it when in a really fun and light and sexy way, because shadow work can actually be very sexy, especially when you're working in the erotic field. And this is also something that can be quite taboo. There's a lot of people doing shadow work in the realm of BDSM, but in a very tantric, healing way. And then there's a lot of people in the world of BDSM that are actually acting out their wounds and re-traumatizing themselves. So this is where energetics are everything, because the same action for one person, let's say the same scene, could look exactly the same on the physical, but energetically something completely different is happening. One is a healing experience, and the other one is a distortion. So we need to be very attuned as women to those distortions and what is really as it seems in the physical and what is actually very different from what's appearing in the physical. And so, you know, in my 20s, I dove deep with ayahuasca. I was in a lot of shamanic fields for some years, and I got to see and feel and experience many different fields with many different energetics at play. And this was really a training for me. I then took 10 years out of that scene completely, and I got to digest. It actually took me 10 years to digest everything that had happened to me in those ceremonies, in those years. So we need to create the space for digesting our experiences. We need to create the space for actually processing how it is we really feel about something. There's a lot of people who have sexual interactions and they feel a certain way afterwards. Maybe they get very emotional afterwards and they don't understand why. Now that takes presence within yourself to go in and go like, is this my feeling? Why do I feel like this? Is it because of that thing he said? Yes, that really upset me actually. I didn't register it. Now, the other piece that we're dealing with when it comes to penetration or any kind of energetic interaction is that, let's say, I mean, I'm speaking primarily about masculine to feminine, but let's say the masculine has an emotion that he didn't want to feel. And then he gets into a thing with you and you have sex. And that thing he didn't want to feel, he empties out inside you energetically. Now, this might be your boyfriend, your husband. It doesn't mean he doesn't love you. He doesn't necessarily know that he's doing that, but energetically, that's what the masculine tends to do because the masculine has this drive to empty himself, empty his seed, empty his energy. He wants to feel empty. He wants to feel free. So energetically, that's what's often happening in sex. And the feminine is a receiver. She's like inhaling it all. You know, it's imprinting her very deeply because she is, let's say, that water element. And the water changes structure based on what you put in it. So a part of erotic integrity for the masculine is his consciousness. Where is his consciousness at in general? Where is it at when he penetrates you? Is his sex connected to his heart? Because this is when he's penetrating from his God self. When he's connected through the crown, he's in his heart and he's penetrating from that place. Then penetration can blast through all your feminine darkness and light that up, alchemize your stuff. Right? And this is where we serve each other. But if he's in his head, if he's watched a lot of porn and it's all running in the background, if he's got unfelt emotions that are pending, then that's what's going to come through in his penetration, whether he is aware of it or not. It's just what's in his energy field. So there is so much more to it than like, I like him, he's cute, he has a good job, he paid for dinner. And nobody's perfect. Like we all have stuff. But this is where discernment comes in. This is where giving it some time to actually feel, where is this person at? Like, where is his consciousness? Not just right now, but where's his consciousness in life? Is he connected to his divine self? Is he connected to his energy? Is he connected to his divine feminine, his feminine aspect? Has he done shadow work? Where is his consciousness at? Because the thing is with the feminine is once we receive that consciousness into our body, it begins to influence our subconscious, even influence our physical body eventually. It influences our energetics, and the energetics ends up creating the physical. So if you're penetrated by a man who thinks women are commodities, that is going to deeply affect your subconscious and your body. So this is why we have to do this really sacred work of clearing the yoni from all the penetrations that we had in the past that were unconscious, because nobody told you this when you were a teenager. Nobody told me. I was just in the bars, like getting off on my power, you know, having no idea what was really at play. So we get to re-educate ourselves. We get to re-educate our friends, our sisters, our daughters, and we get to bring so much more awareness to this realm. We also get to lead from our own pleasure. Once we have that confidence and that embodiment, then we can lead the masculine, not even verbally, not even through, you know, instructions or the mind, but it's like we lead the experience from our energy because we empower that energy. And if he is attuned to you, he is going to get your transmission. So it makes the whole thing a lot easier, whether it's in everyday relating or whether it's in the bedroom. So another thing that really makes a difference as to our integrity is how we work with our blood. And this is something that I talk about a lot. I don't put my blood on my face and put it on Instagram. I put my blood on my face, but I don't put it on Instagram because for me, there is something so intimate and sacred about the frequency, the medicine of this blood. And I don't judge anyone who does put it on Instagram, but I'm just saying that for me, there is an intimacy in these rituals that I do with my blood. And I talk about this more in my containers, but it's very much between me and the mother. I bury my blood always. And that is the most simple prayer that we can make as women. There's a prophecy that when enough women give their blood back to the earth, we will have peace on earth. This is the peaceful form of bloodshed. And so when we can align our sexuality, that lifeblood, that seed with the mother, the divine mother, this shifts our frequency. This aligns our DNA with hers. This will change your life over time. And it's so simple. And a lot of women get tapped into this kind of world and they're like, oh my God, and they start using their blood to manifest. And there is nothing wrong with that. But again, our inner priestess needs to check herself. What am I manifesting? And is it coming from my egoic desire or is it coming from my higher self? Is it part of my divine purpose? Right? Am I just like, I'm going to manifest 10 grand in the next week. And here's my blood and I'm going to give it to the earth and woo, I'm going to be rich. You know, or is it like I'm manifesting the next phase of my healing? I'm praying for the guidance to show me what my purpose is. There's a different frequency. There's a different intelligence. There's a different devotion. Divine surrender is at the heart of that, as opposed to what my human self and my egoic mind actually wants. And it's the same when it comes to sex magic. Lots of women are like, woo, we're learning sex magic now. Working with your eros for manifestation is a very ancient practice and a very powerful practice. It's an amazing thing to learn about. But again, staying in integrity with this kind of work, always in that divine surrender is essential. Otherwise, the universe is going to kick your ass at some point. Maybe not immediately, maybe you'll get what you want, but at some point, because life wants us to evolve, life wants us to wake up, life wants us to become conscious of our power. So we have to learn. And sometimes we learn the hard way. A lot of humans, they just want to learn through pain because otherwise they don't want to learn at all. You know, it's like we'd rather stay in our comfort zone than change. So then life is like, right, we're going to have to teach her through a really difficult situation. But then we have that choice as well to put ourselves in situations, in experiences, in moments, take some risks, push our edge, like be committed to our growth and evolution, be committed to that journey of reclamation, of reclaiming that true divine feminine power and embodying it fully in every cell, not just theoretically, because I understand in some way that I'm a goddess, actually becoming the goddess as woman. And this was one of the really beautiful transmissions from Egypt for me, was working with Hathor. And I feel like Isis gets a lot of press, and Isis is Isis. I mean, it's like, she's amazing, obviously, she's Isis. But Hathor is actually this representation of the goddess as woman, this fully integrated earthly experience of the feminine, the arts of relating, the art of bringing that divine feminine into the world through movement, through dance, through music, through the way you speak, through the way your personality shines through you. And this is the car body. I did a post on this recently. This is the car body is out a little outside your physical body. It's your auric field. And this is informed by the way that you see yourself, the way that you speak to yourself, who you interact with. It's the part of you that imprints on other people and stays with them when they think of you. And it also gets imprinted. So it's the part of you that, like, when you, let's say you remember that guy, the last guy you had sex with, you know, whether it was your husband yesterday or like months ago, whatever it was, it's like the car is like the part where you remember the energy. You don't necessarily remember the physical feeling, especially if it was a while ago. But there's an energy you remember, and it either makes you go like, and then we keep thinking about it, you know, which is another way that we end up hooking ourselves to that person. Or we're like, ugh, that was just not, you know, and that's where it's like, where's my yoni egg? Need to clear that one. But either way, we're connected energetically. Just reading the messages. Yes, thank you. So yeah, we'll catch you on the replays. So, okay. Let's see, we've covered quite a lot. This is good going. All right. So this is why my work is always twofold. We have the somatic part, we have the physical, where we work with the body, where we do embodiment practices, where we use the yoni egg and we do yoni yoga. And it's like very much about being in this divine vessel, bringing the goddess to earth through the body, through the physical, as the woman that you are, the full embodied woman that you are. And then the other piece is we work on your consciousness. We work on how you see the world, your perspective towards yourself and others and creation. Because that is how you co-create your reality. That is how you are magnetizing to you everything in your life. You are magnetic. You are a feminine-bodied being. So the way that you program yourself, your consciousness, your thoughts, your beliefs, your energy determines what comes towards you, how people treat you, what relationships you manifest, what money you manifest, what home you manifest, your environment, everything. So a really important thing when you're on this path of awakening, or you're on the priestess path, or you are just here for it on this earth, you're like, I am here to be part of this big change. I am here to live my fullest potential. The people that you put yourself with, either in intimacy or in social circles or in work, this matters. This rubs off on you. This affects your car. And I recently had a whole up level with who I put myself in rooms with, because I was realizing that although I love so many people, so easy for me to love people, I want to be in spaces with people that I deeply respect and who push my edge, who inspire me to get better, who inspire me to have more impact, who inspire me to face myself at deeper levels in new ways, to really step into my power even more, right? This is where I want to be spending my time, because I'm not here to fuck around. I know that. And I know that my people also know that. The women who come through Erotic Alchemy, the women who I coach, who I mentor, it's like, we're here for the big moves, for the big change. We're here to give our best to this life. We're here to live in that divine alignment, that divine service. And so the energetics are essential. The energetics of the fields that we exist in. And so this is why more and more and more, when I look back over my life, it's like I have put myself in so many containers, so many intense experiences that catalyzed my evolution. that put me in an energetic container. And I was thinking about this. I'm like, it's kind of like a plant. You put a plant in a plant pot in the beginning. You put a baby in a womb. We all need that containment in order to grow and flourish and then go to our next stage. Like the containment is so important. Children are actually happier when they have a playground with a fence around it than when there's no fence. They play better, they feel better. You know, if you're in intimacy, a container allows you to surrender more. When you know you have time, when you know you have a safe space, you can experience so much more pleasure, right? You can drop so much deeper into yourself. It's like, you know what the boundaries are, you know that you're held. This is really important for the feminine. So our sexual dharma is different. We all have a unique path to walk. When I look back at my life, I followed so many breadcrumbs that were leading me to an understanding of my soul and a consciousness that basically includes the lifetimes before this one. A consciousness that sees me as a soul and not just my identity in this life. When I can see me as a soul and I can see you as a soul, then I'm holding a much bigger field for you to expand into. And so this is where, for me, the more that I work on myself, on my own consciousness, and do that inner work in myself, the more potent my fields, the stronger my portal of power. The stronger the portal of power that is my yoni, my sexual energy, the stronger the portal of power that is the containers that I hold. You know, it's like I choose to put myself in situations. Like I live in the middle of the jungle with hundreds of miles of trees one direction, hundreds of miles of water, ocean the other direction. I live with a light portal in my house. Like the portal of power, the layers of portals of power that I exist in at this moment in my life is insane. And it's never been so potent. So I'm just like, wow, Egypt really took that to another level. I did not expect, when I said I'm going to create a portal of power course, that I would end up creating it opposite the pyramids of Giza. I was actually going to check, is that one of the 7 wonders of the world? I'm not sure, but it's a portal of power. That is for sure. That is for sure. So it's like when we live this way, then what we put out is greater than us. It's greater than us. I didn't think with my human mind that I was going to create a course and I was going to go all the way to Egypt and I was going to film it in the portal of the pyramids of Giza. My mind would never have come up with that. But when we are living life attuned to the possibility, where our consciousness is seeing ourselves as this infinite potential, as this soul that has come through thousands of years, then more can come through us. And like we surprise ourselves. So this is the kind of experience that happens in my field, because this is the kind of experience that I give myself all the time. This is how I've lived my life, you know? And so this is like, now I'm in this moment where Portal of Power is my new course. This is my new container. And I'm inviting women into that portal of power because I know that this is the fruit of everything that's gone before. And now I'm owning it. Now I'm like, it is a portal of power. I am a portal of power. It has taken me a long time to get to this point. 3 years with Kundalini Rose, which is my brand. When I created this brand 3 years ago, I wanted to be behind the scenes. I didn't want to be on Instagram. I just wanted to like write the things and like make sure that the message was getting through. And now I'm like on the internet owning that I'm a priestess and a mystic and a tantrika. Like that was such an edge for me 3 years ago. But I came to realize that I am the transmission. And it's the same for every single one of us. It doesn't matter what we are or what we do. You are the thing. You are the gold. You are the value. It's you. It's not the house you own. It's not the work you did. it is you. You're that. And when we all, as women, start to value ourselves to this level, the world will change. And we're so good at pouring out into other people. But when we prioritize ourselves, we invest in ourselves, we take time for ourselves, we put ourselves in rooms and circles and situations with people that are influencing us into our greatness, then our lives transform, the world transforms. I've always known I was here for a revolution. And I've never felt more like I'm really living it the way that I was designed to live it. That is a journey, and our dharma is different. Our sexual dharma is different. Like I said, sexual liberation looks different for everyone. So it's always an individual journey. And that's why only you can decide what is your move. Only you can decide what you actually need in this moment. You can check in with your best friend or your partner or your this or that. They don't know the soul journey that you've been on to come to this moment in this lifetime. They don't know what your contract is with the divine. They don't know what your potential is because they're seeing you through the limited lens of their own perception. So this is where only you can change the game for yourself. Only you can make the move and like really claim all of you, right? I mean, there's many ways to do that. It's not just one move, but like it's on you to know what your move is. So I'm going to tell you a little bit. Oh, there's so much more I wanted to say. Okay. Yeah, I'll just give another example, like that comes back to the sexual. So Eros doesn't really like to be manipulated. It can be manipulated, and it is by many, many, many people. But there is a difference between when you're in an erotic situation and you're trying to make something happen, or you have an agenda of some kind because like, this is the moment or da 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 or whatever it is. That's a very different frequency and a very different energy to when you're in that level of surrender and let go and you are carried by the erotic current. Both of you, let's say there's two people in the situation. And then it becomes this like benediction. It becomes this force of nature that is moving you and moving through you. That's when it becomes a highway to higher states of consciousness. That's when your Eros becomes a gateway to God, when you are in that openness and surrender to that current. You're not trying to force it. You're not trying to make something happen that isn't organically happening because you're true to your body. If your yoni is dry, for example, this happens like so often, it's for a reason. Now, maybe physically he's doing all the right things, but your yoni is reading the energetics. Your yoni is picking up on the emotion, the emotional intelligence, his emotions, your emotions, the frequencies that are at play. So if your body is not on, there is a reason, and we have to learn to trust that. And, you know, the bedroom gives us such a good reflection of like our life in general. It's like, where are we not moving with the current? And we're trying to be something, and we're trying to make something happen. But the current is that soul-led, heart-led, yes. We know that feeling. That's when we're moving with the current of life. Because the thing is, the heart is the throne of the soul. The heart is the seat of the soul. The heart holds the information of the soul. So the heart is the part of us that is going to tell us what the move is. It's not the mind, because the mind is just programmed full of stuff and other people's opinions. But the heart has that higher intelligence. Now the heart combined with the yoni, now we're really starting to tap into our oracle and our feminine superpowers. So it's learning as that priestess of our temple to also be able to be that oracle for ourselves and to lead ourselves and to lead from love, to lead ourselves from the heart. This is how we know what to do in a way that is authentic, in a way that is our Dharma, that leads to our Dharma, that is part of our Dharma. Like that's the channel. And so the more we do this work and the more we do the embodiment and the more we tap into our Eros and we liberate our Eros, the more we naturally start to flow with the currents of life. So, the subtle bodies. Anyway, I feel like it's the moment. There's a million more things I want to say to you, but I feel like I want to just share a little bit about Portal of Power and about erotic alchemy, because some of you on this call have done erotic alchemy. You already know what this is all about. But for those who haven't, erotic alchemy is really, it's foundational women's work. It's yoni consciousness. It's sexual healing. It's deep sexual healing. The yoni yoga alone is life-changing because you're clearing out all of that debris energetically. You're rebirthing your sexuality. And we go into different archetypes. We go into the dark feminine. We go into the wild woman. It's a 7-week journey, 6 modules. You get pre-recorded content and you get live calls together. And the live calls are some of the best part. Like the live calls are where we come together as a circle of women. And if you've ever been in a women's circle, you know the medicine that flows when we tell stories and we're in our authentic truth, whatever that looks like. And we hold that space together. It's a magical feminine gift. It goes all the way back to the red tents and beyond. It's really one of my favorite things in life is these calls. And so erotic alchemy is very foundational. I have a lot of women who do erotic alchemy and then they go back and they repeat it. Either they repeat it and they come on the calls again, or they take themselves through the homework again. You get a lot of practices. You get a lot of material to work with in your own space, in your own time. And then you also get the container for 7 weeks. So it's life-changing. I've run it 8 times. I was going to give it up. Like I was like, oh, I've got to create something new. Maybe I should stop it. And it was like the universe would not let me stop it because women just came into my field and they were like, I need that. So I'm still running it. I'm going to run it again starting on the 19th of August. And if you feel like that is your move, then it's an amazing place to start. Portal of Power was designed to be the next level. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't do Portal of Power if you haven't done erotic alchemy, but just be aware and check in with me if you're interested in it so that we can just make sure it's a fit for you, because it's a little bit more advanced and it's helpful if you already have an existing practice, if you already know how to hold yourself in practices, in meditation, if you are embodied and in touch with your yoni to a certain degree already, right? If you know, like I have so much sexual healing to do, I have so much trauma, then best to start with erotic alchemy. But Portal of Power, I honestly didn't even know where this was going to go when I created it. It is essentially the full spectrum womanhood. So we go into the erotic, we go into the tantric, like module 1, we go into the full sex priestess lineage, her story of how this power was weaved and how it was held and what that lineage actually is. How women were ritualizing in the temples, what the culture, the real goddess culture. When you have a consciousness that embraces and understands, and when you embody this kind of context for who the fuck you are and what you're doing on this planet, it changes everything. We also go into the warrior king, the really high level divine masculine codes, right? And what that looks like and what that feels like to embody within you and also in the external. That's just module 1. Then we go into practices, we go into shamanic work, we go into very powerful processes that take us deep. Yeah, we go into the underworld with Inanna, essentially. In Portal of Power, I work with so many different mythological stories, some of the most potent myths. So module 2, we descend, we go into the underworld. We face all of that power that's actually waiting for us, but that actually just, if we're not descending to meet it, then we get drained trying to avoid it. So we go into deep reclamation there. Then we go into existential kink. We go into shadow work. We go into the sexy little games that we play with ourselves that we don't really ever admit until suddenly we have permission to admit it. So I love this module because it's like so much permission, right? When I first dived into this part of my work, I was like, oh my God, like my shadow was just like, hi. But in a way that was totally manageable. It was like, oh my God, there you are. And it's just so funny that I've never actually just admitted this because I was afraid to admit it. But as soon as I admitted it, guess what happened? I had so much more power. I had so much more energy. I just needed that permission, that radical permission to actually face the deeper parts of myself and realize that those parts are also divine. There's nothing wrong with them. We are human beings. They're equally valuable. Then we start to go into the Egyptian mysteries. Then we start to go into Isis. We go into Hathor. We go into Nephthys, Isis's dark sister. We go into Sekhmet, the lioness goddess. We go into these archetypes and also the dragon mothers, going back to the ancient primordial shamanic work, the original shaman women. And this is about reclaiming your inner shaman. This is about reclaiming these different goddess archetypes within you because it's all within you. That's the purpose of these goddesses. It's not for you to worship something that's outside of you. It's for you to integrate what's already in you, to understand it, to embrace it, to own it, to bring it forward. We go into astrosexology, which is basically like Venus and your Mars in astrology and what that means for the way that your Kundalini serpents meet each other and court each other and make love to each other and how that plays out then in your external relationships. We go into ruby rituals. So we go into really like, what is it to take these tantric rituals and practice them in a way that is truly divine, truly aligned, truly in erotic integrity, how we can all play a part in the restoration of the ruby, right? The restoration of this, the holiness of our sexuality and our sexual energy and what that actually looks like when it's embodied, when we actually have the tools and the wisdom to access that power and apply it into our own lives. And the ripples that creates, the ripples that happen through one woman, every single woman who does this work, it's just beyond what we can imagine. It's beyond. So Portal of Power, it's going to be for the first time, right? This is the maiden voyage. And again, it's like Erotic Alchemy. You get 6 modules. So it's tons of pre-recorded content, video transmissions from me, practices. So half of it was filmed in the jungle in Costa Rica. Half of it was filmed right next to the pyramids of Giza. It is a portal of power. Just the content, the pre-recorded content, which you get lifetime access to, it's huge. It's a journey. And then we have the group calls every week. So we have 7 of those calls, 2-hour calls where we integrate together. We go deep, whatever's alive in your life. It's like everything is welcome there. And they're just always so juicy. And the transformation, like you get to witness in the other women and they get to witness in you. It's incredible. So I just, it's like there is so much that I want to share with you, but this is the thing. This is a mistress class. I'm so grateful that you joined me for this. But I want to tell you about a few things that I've created and I had a lot of fun creating that will give you some options for your next move if you feel that heart calling to make a move and to continue this conversation and this journey with me. Okay, so these are offers that are exclusive for this mistress class and for everyone who's here now and also joining on the replay. And they're going to be available until Saturday. So the first one is if you know erotic alchemy is your move, and if you know that erotic alchemy is essential for you to clean up your temple, to drop into your yoni consciousness for sexual healing, if you know that you need to work with your yoni egg because like maybe you have one, but it's just sitting on your altar and you don't really know what to do with it, erotic alchemy is the one. And it's currently on early bird. So it's $750 for early bird, but you get another $100 off if you're in this class. So you can jump into that container for $650. Portal of Power is actually starting before. So Erotic Alchemy starts in August the 19th. Portal of Power starts on the 21st of July. And this one, actually, early bird is over. So the price of Portal of Power is 1111. But if you're in this mistress class, I was a bit like, early bird ends right before the mistress class, but I want to give the mistress class people like as good a deal. But I also don't want to, I want to honor the people who jumped in time for early bird. So if you're in this class, you can join for $909. So that's $21 more than early bird. Okay. And that's for Portal of Power, 7 weeks, 6 modules. I mean, there's 20 hours of pre-recorded content in Portal of Power, 20 hours. So you can go over this again and again. You're going to have it for your whole life. And this is what people do with the erotic alchemy videos is they watch them again and they're like, oh my God, I'm getting a whole new teaching from this. You know, they are like mini portals of power. They are like packed, you know, so they have a lot of value that you will unpack based on where you're at on your journey. So that's Portal of Power. And then there are the people who want to make a big move. Okay. And so this is something I haven't really been able to do that much before because I didn't have enough programs. But now it's all starting to make sense for me. And I'm like, oh, I came back to Costa Rica. I did my Egypt journey. I'm back in Costa Rica now. I'm grounded. I am like here in my portal of power, ready to hold this field. And I promise it is a field like never before. So for people who are like, you know what? I want to go all in on myself and I want to do both. I want to do erotic alchemy and portal of power, which means you're going to be having weekly calls with me and the group. And it's an intimate group, right? It's like never gone above 10 women. So you have space, you can share, like you are heard. And you get one-on-one feedback from me because I go in with everyone. So it's kind of like you're having mentorship, you're having one-on-one mentorship as part of the package, plus all the pre-recorded content, plus the group, the WhatsApp group, the community, everything like that. So if you want to do both, it will be a 10-week journey because actually they cross over. There's a 2-week crossover because I have to be freed up for Tantrahuasca in October. And it will take you from the 21st of July all the way to October. So this is like if you want to make your summer a power portal for your evolution, and you know you want to do erotic alchemy, but you also want all the mystic stuff of portal of power, and you want the yoni yoga, and you just want to do it all, then I have a bundle. And to remind myself what the bundle is. And I'm going through my notes, and there's just so much more I want to tell you. But anyway, we will get to it. So the intensive bundle you can get for $1,600. Okay. So that's for both. Now, the value of both courses is $1,999. So you save $400 if you want to go all in and do both. And I'm excited for the woman who goes for this because it's like, that's a commitment. And you are going to be in my field for 10 full weeks. Just wait and see who you are when you emerge. It's going to be amazing. So yes, we can definitely schedule a call. Yeah, reach out to me if you have questions, if you want to ask more. You know, I'm aware of keeping this within a certain time frame, but please, I'm so here for the conversation. I'm so here for it. So that is Portal of Power. Now, if you're like, I want to do Portal of Power, sorry, that is Portal of Power and Erotic Alchemy. If you're like, I want to do Portal of Power, but I know I need to do the yoni egg stuff. I know I need to do the yoni yoga. I know I need to have that embodiment. I want the practice that's really going to bring me into my yoni, because this is where I know that I'm storing a lot. Then I have a bundle that is Portal of Power and the 12 yoni yoga classes that are part of Erotic Alchemy. So you get to do the whole Portal of Power course plus 12 yoni yoga classes. And that one is 1111. So 1111. You get to do the whole of Portal of Power with all that comes with that, the live and the pre-recorded and the community. And then you get 12 yoni yoga classes as well. So the value of that is like 1,411. You save $300. You basically get, you end up paying what's the regular price for Portal of Power, and you get like $300 worth of yoni yoga. The yoni yoga is essentially free because you're getting the special Mistress Class Portal of Power price. So that will set you up for success in your yoni consciousness, your yoga practice, and then you get to join us for Portal of Power and get all the Egyptian magic and all the full spectrum, everything. So that is that bundle. And then for the portal, for the Erotic Alchemy graduates who've done Erotic Alchemy with me, so you know. And you also know that maybe you've fallen off the wagon with your practice, you want to get back in the zone, you need to rewatch the videos. You can do this 10-week package at a special price because you're an Erotic Alchemy repeater. So you get to do the 10 weeks, you get to go through both courses. You already have the Erotic Alchemy pre-recorded material, but you get to do 7 weeks in the container with us. And then you get all of Portal of Power as well. And that's 1,300. So that's for 10 weeks where you get one-on-one mentorship. And you know, with these containers, you can always message me on WhatsApp. Like, I am with you every step of the way. So you're getting like basically 10 weeks of one-on-one combined with more than 30 hours of content, some of which you already have if you've done Erotic Alchemy. So the actual value of that is over 1,500. You're saving $250, and you get 10 weeks of basically mentorship, because my containers are all intimate. So that is amazing, because also you guys, I know you know, because you've done Erotic Alchemy, so you know the value. Okay, so that is for you guys. And I'm going to send you an email with all of this because I know it's a lot to remember. I got one more bundle for you with 2 parts. This is the Lovers Bundle. This is if you want to bring your man on the journey with you. And you can do this with your beloved, but you can also do this with a friend. If you have a male friend who's like, I love this stuff. Like, I want to do this. Let's have a little pod, let's do this together. So I have a bundle that is Erotic Alchemy and Seeded Potential together for 1,111. And I know couples who've done this together, and it is epic. Like, what happens to their relationship? What happens to their relationship? What happens in their intimacy? Like, it's insane. So that's 1,111. The actual value is 1,443. So you save $332. So if you want to do Portal of Power and bring your man on the journey with Seeded Potential, you can do that for 1,200. Okay. So that is like, maybe you've done Erotic Alchemy, maybe you've been waiting for the moment to get your man on board. Maybe he's kind of ready now. You're ready for the next level. You want to do Portal of Power, but he's ready to go with Seeded Potential. So you can get that bundle for 1,200. The actual value is over 1,600. So you save over $400. You save $444 with that bundle. So again, that's for people like, maybe you've done Erotic Alchemy, you know the value of this work, you're ready for pop, and you reckon your man is ready for Seeded Potential. So you can both be in the field, you can both be activating, growing, like, in it together. So these are all the bundles. I had so much fun creating these bundles. I was like, wow, I can bundle. And I'm someone who loves to go shopping and get a deal. You know, I love to go to charity shops. I love sometimes where I'm like, I'm feeling into something, and then it's like it's a sweet deal. It's like that's my sign. I'm just like, okay, this is my moment, because otherwise I could just delay it more. You know, otherwise I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do it next month, next year. Guys, life goes fast. Life goes fast. You know, it's like every moment counts. Every month, every year, like it all counts. So I'm not saying your moment is definitely now. It might not be. But if you know that it is, I'm making it really juicy for you to like take the bull by the horns, you know, and like make it fun. And feel into if the 10 weeks is calling you, right? Whichever package makes sense for you. But like the 10 weeks, I've never done an offer like this. And really, it's pretty high touch. It's pretty high touch. I've also realized that a lot of people, they do these kind of courses and they're not priced that differently. And they're either pre-recorded content or they're live calls. And with me, you get both. Because I'm devoted this way. I'm committed. Like if you commit to you, I am so committed to you. Like I'm in. I'm here for you on WhatsApp. I'm here for you in the calls. Like I'm all in with you. So I want to support you to take that leap in yourself as best I can, because I know that whenever I've done that, it has served me beyond. You know, in business, they talk about ROI, return on investment. The return on the investment, we've been talking about energetics, in an energetic sense, is undeniable. And often the upgrade starts immediately. As soon as you say yes, as soon as you say yes, the universe is like, right, she's in. She's investing in herself. She's committed to herself. She's devoted to herself. Let's fucking go. And the upgrades are just like, it's not all fun and games. You might have to descend because that's the feminine journey, but we do it together. And I've got you. Like, I've really got you. I've got you with the practices. I've got you with the course material. I've got you on the calls. Like, you are so held. Just imagine. Just imagine what we can do. So I'm so excited. I'm so grateful for your presence, for your time, for sharing this masterclass. There are so many things in my notes that I didn't get to talk about, but that is life. And that's what the containers are for. And I will just say that in the containers, you know, I like to be contained. I like to have a container where I can go deeper as well in sharing my own experiences. And I do. The containers are where I really share my juice. So I love the intimacy that it creates. I love the transformation that it creates. I love the community that it creates. I really know that I'm here for this revolution, for this renaissance, and that we as women are leading it. We're leading it. And it starts with us. It starts with us choosing ourselves. It starts with us remembering to love love, and that's within first and foremost. Then our cup fills up, we overflow, and we nourish everyone and everything around us with our radiance, with our integrity, with our truth, with our authenticity, with our expression, with our work, with our service. This is what I'm here for. So thank you for being here with me. I appreciate you. I'm sending you so much love from my jungle portal of power. I will send you an email with the codes for the discounts on Erotic Alchemy and Portal of Power with all the bundles. If you do want a bundle, message me. There aren't links for them. They're not on my website. So you have to message me directly, either on socials, on WhatsApp, if you have my WhatsApp, or on Instagram, or send me an email. And we'll go from there. But yeah, I'm excited for you. Whatever your heart is calling you forward into, trust that. Trust your knowing. Trust yourself. You are gold. You are so much gold. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you in the next moments. Mwah.